Hello, everyone. Another Sunday, another workshop episode, homebrewing magic items. Today, we'll have some more subclass boosting themes. Last week, we did the monk, the subclass of the way of the four elements, and we also did the beastmaster ranger. We created two items for them that attempt to boost the power of the subclass to match the other ones that are more dominant in our current trends. Today we will attempt two new ones. The two new subclasses that I have picked for today is Arcane Archer from the Fighter Club, and the Berserker, the path of the Berserker for the Barbarian one. As those two are quite overshadowed by the Totem Warrior for the Barbarian, and by the Battle Master for the Arcane Archer. So not only I'm not picking just like the weakest one, although they do content for the weakest subclasses as well, but also the one that are very similar and often compared with another one that is vastly superior. Okay, let's start with the Arcane Archer. The Arcane Archer is an attempt to make a fighter more like a ranger, I'd say, focusing on archery. The whole subclass has a limitation on using bows, not even crossbows. So it is quite restricting, while the Battle Master does not have such strict restriction. It does, some of the maneuvers do have requirements melee attacks, but not all of them. So a Battle Master could be a viable ranged fighter option, and usually tends to be superior. That's why the Arcane Archer does not really see that much play, while having the option to be melee as well. On the contrary, the Arcane Archer does not have any viable melee alternatives. So, compared directly with the Battle Master, the Arcane Archer feels not only restricted to its ranged options, but also it does not do as well in those ranged options as the Battle Master in most cases. It does have some options that excel on what they do, and they are vastly better at what they do from the Battle Master. Well, but these options are very, very few. So today we will attempt to have a magic item that will boost the Arcane Archer to a comparable level to the Battle Master, and try to keep the theme unique, not make it like identical to the Battle Master, and as separate as possible from the other subclasses. As I explained in the previous workshop series live stream, we are making them into magic items instead of altering the class itself. The reasons for those are few. One is that this is a change that obviously does not have enough playtest behind it. So things could go wrong. And instead of swapping around features of a class which does not feel immersive at all during the campaign, and having the player having the player's character's stats change for no apparent reasons, or even if you try to make like some divine intervention or something cosmic that changes the character's abilities, it does not feel very believable most of the times. On the other hand, tinkering with a magic item is much more well received. Like a magic item could be enchanted, could be altered, could be stolen, could be destroyed, upgraded, etc., etc. So you can justify changes if your concept seems to not work at all for some reason, or maybe it's still quite underwhelming or overpowered in the end, without breaking the immersion of your game. Also, the magic item feels more optional, like if any other DM likes to try those, instead of adapting and explaining to the player from the start a whole new class feature or the changes to their features, you tell them that the class is as you read it online, but you have this also item as an extra, or maybe you get this item at a later point. Although I think it's pretty okay to give it the moment they get their subclass. That's the intended starting point. Okay, so that was a short explanation as to why they are magic items instead of just altering the subclass features. Last week we made the Huntsman call and the 4-element tattoo, which kind of bugged at some point, and the description became hidden. I don't know what is causing that. Some module conflict, I think. But that's like a minor issue. You can revert that. So, Arcane Archer. Let's have a look at the Arcane Archer's abilities. It is a subclass coming from Xanathar's Guide to Everything, and the Battlemaster is a player's handbook, a subclass, which is it is a little bit rare. It does not happen with many classes that the subclass on player's handbook to be stronger than the newer ones. And when it does, it usually wins with a huge difference compared to the newest. Like the best example of that is the Totem Warrior for the Barbarian. It has been the most dominant subclass for the Barbarian, no matter what came out later. I believe it was an oversight when they created those subclasses. They couldn't estimate the power level at that point, and then it felt really bad to go back and nerf them. So they attempted some new ones, but even their new designs did not come close to what to that power level. Battlemaster, I don't think is that far ahead like the Totem Warrior is on the Barbarians, but I still think is one of the strongest, if not the strongest subclass on the fighter still. So Arcane Archer coming later, being weaker directly compared to the Battlemaster. And its features are the following. So at third level, you learn a magical theory or some of the secrets of nature, typical for practitioners of this elven martial tradition. You choose to gain proficiency in either Arcana or Nature skill, and you choose to learn either Prestidigitation or Druidcraft cantrip. Now, both of those cantrips are mostly flavor. They do not provide any mechanical bonuses or combat bonuses like guidance or fireball would do. Prestidigitation being quite more used than Druidcraft. I can't remember Druidcraft ever being like even remotely fun in any campaign, to be honest. It's a very specific cantrip that does not help the players much. So this is the first feature is mostly flavor, like doesn't give a lot of anything to the Arcane Archer. Now the main part of this subclass, its whole mechanic, is Arcane Shot. At third level, you learn to unleash special magical effects with some of your shots. When you gain this feature, you learn 2 Arcane Shot options, of your choice. See Arcane shot options below. Once per turn, that is an important part. You fire an arrow from a short bow or a long bow as part of the attack action, and you can apply one of your arcane shot options to that arrow. You decide to use that option when the arrow hits, unless the option doesn't involve an attack roll. You have 2 uses of this ability, and you regain all expended uses of it when you finish a short or a long rest. Okay, let's analyze a little bit that part. Again, one moment. I need to close that window. Okay, it was getting cold. So, it is once per turn, meaning that even if you get multi-attack, you would only use it once on your turn. It opens up the potential to use it outside of your turn, but it's going to be very hard or almost impossible to find a reaction that allows you to do a ranged attack. It restricts you on short bows and long bows, meaning no crossbow expert feat, because you're not going to be using crossbows. Or I mean, there is a part of the crossbow expert feat that does not involve the crossbows, but still you don't want to choose a feat and gain only percentage of its benefits. You decide to use the option when the arrow hits. So you make your attack roll, you see the result, the DM compares it to the AC of the target. If you hit, you decide whether you apply the effect or not. Now this is a little bit wacky, from the DM's perspective at least. From the player, maybe the player doesn't really care unless it's a heavy role player. But let's say that you're having your arrow on your bow. The DM is attempting to describe your attack and where does it hit, or where does it aim to hit at least. So the arrow flies, and the effect, is the effect on when it flies, or is it not? How does the effect know when to, like, how does the archer activate the effect after the arrow is shot? It is not explained, and obviously I don't think there's an explanation for that, because if the Arcane Archer has imbued that arrow already with that kind of magic, it should have expended the use when the arrow was shot, not when the arrow missed or hit. So this flavor explanation, the realism behind this mechanic falls a little bit flat. I will attempt to explain it differently here to make it have it make more sense, at least in my games. Not explain, sorry, it's changed slightly the wording of the mechanic. So instead of you decide to use this option when the arrow hits, I would say that you imbue all your arrows with that magic. And if the arrow hits, sorry, if the arrow misses, it does not find the target, you regain a use of your shot. So it's like if you never expended one. So, but the player, the character, did imbue the arrow when it was fired. And if it hits, you do not regain back any of the usages. Then it says, unless the option does not involve an attack roll. What does that mean? Like, you shot an arrow without an attack roll? Even if it is an automatic success, I think it is assumed that there was an attack roll and it was a success. In what case the option does not involve an attack roll? Or does it mean the shots? But the shots do not have attack rolls on their own, right? No, they don't. So this is a little bit confusing for me. Like, what option does not involves an attack, but does not involve an attack roll? Even if it is an automatic success, there should be an attack roll at least implied. Also, it doesn't specify what happens if it doesn't involve an attack roll. Like, you cannot do it if there is not an attack roll, or it automatically applies, you just do not decide. Like, it's very vague. I don't really understand what they mean with that part of the sentence. Then you have two uses of this ability. You regain them on a short or a long rest. Now, this is the problematic part when you compare it with the Battle Master. Battle Master, if I remember right, let's check again. Gains starts with three maneuvers of your choice. And how many superiority dice? You have 4 superiority dice. So you have 4 uses of 3 different maneuvers, while the Arcane Archer has, how many options do they get? 2 arcane shots and 2 uses. So 2 and 2 versus 3 and 4. So not only more variety, but also more uses per short rest. Now, depending on your game, this might or might not be a huge difference. Like, depending on how often you can take short rests per day, and how often you can take a short rest between encounters. But regardless of how it is run on your game, the Battle Master does have more. But if you could take more and more short rest between encounters, then the Battle Master's superiority is even more evident. So we have a lack of feature uses for the Arcane Archer and a little bit and less variety. The variety, though, might be justified because the arcane shot options are not as many as the maneuvers that the Battle Masters, and some of the arcane shot options are vastly better than any maneuvers. Moving on, you gain an additional arcane shot when you reach 7th, 10th, 15th, and 18th level. Each option also improves when you become 18th level fighter. Now, this is a huge jump. From 3rd level that you get the subclass, the next time your subclass abilities will improve is 15 levels later. That's a long time, a very, very long time. And many adventures do not even reach 18th levels. So you pick your Arcane Archer subclass and you know that most likely you will never see this upgrade. This is a really bad feeling. Like, I don't know why they would need to put such a huge gap between the first, between the only upgrade, because there's not another one. As for the variety, they gain 4 more. So they start with 2. They will end with 6 options out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6 out of 8. So they will almost have all their available options by the end of by the end game. I mean, compared with that, the Battle Master will get 2 additional maneuvers at 7th, 10th, and 15th. So they will get 6 more out of the 3 that they start, ending with 9 out of there. They have a lot of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So they will get 9 out of the 23. So not even half of their available maneuvers. I don't know which one I like more. Like it's has their benefits and disadvantages. But I think I tend to like more the Battle Master version, where you have a lot of options, but you don't nearly get all of them by the end of your subclass. So your choices are more meaningful, and they make more varied and unique characters when you compare 2 Battle Masters together. On the other side, when you have such huge variety, it is very difficult to properly balance them and not have the distinctive overpowered option that you're going to be picking, and the majority of the variety is ignored in the end. Okay, back to the Arcane Archer features. At 7th level, you gain the ability to infuse arrows with magic. Whenever you fire a non-magical arrow from a shortbow or longbow, you can make it magical for the purpose of overcoming resistance and immunity to non-magical attacks and damage. The magic fades from the arrow immediately after it hits or misses the target. Now, this feature is borderline useless for most campaigns. Unless you're playing on a very low magic, like I wouldn't call it hardcore, but some people call it hardcore because of the evident lack of magic items and other boosting items. But if you're playing in a very low magic setting campaign, and magic items are not expected at all, and finding one of them is like the highlight of your career, in that type of game, this feature is gold. Okay, so you, like your DM in that type of game, chooses a boss creature when they see that they have resistances to non-magical physical slashing, piercing, and bludgeoning. So that kind of creatures and resistances become completely useless when your campaign starts flooding with magic items, right? It is more and more common, especially in published adventures, that players start to get their first magic items at around level 3, maybe some +1 weapons and armors, or maybe not even a +1, but just a magical version of the common item, just enough to give them the magic property so they can bypass immunities. Sorry, not immunities, resistances. So this magic arrow feature is golden on those very specific campaigns that play on low magic and without many magical items, but it is completely useless on any other campaign. Like you will most likely have a magical bow before you're even level 5. So at level 7, your subclass gives you nothing, like a big 0. Curving shot. At 7th level, you learn how to direct. Sorry, I take back my previous sentence. There is another feature at 7th level. I thought it was only the magic arrow. So curving shot. At 7th level, you also gain, you learn how to direct an errant arrow towards a new target. When you make an attack roll with a magic arrow and miss, you can use a bonus action to reroll the attack, to reroll against a different target within 60 feet of the original target. Okay, this has a lot of important information here. So you have to miss first. It has to be a magic arrow, which in conjunction with the previous feature, all your arrows are magic, but most likely you had a magical bow as well that was, even if your arrows are not magic, they're considered to be doing magical piercing damage if the bow is magic. You can use your bonus action, so it does take your bonus action to be used to reroll the attack against a different target within 60 feet of the original target. So the 60 feet is not that small of a distance. I'm not really sure like how that is explained. Like if you are shooting 60 feet difference between targets, it's not like I put a little curve like on my, because it's called curving shot, right? I'm imagining that you're curving your arrow somehow. This is like a straight perpendicular angle, like a 90 degrees turn to hit 60 feet away. Okay, and it is a different attack roll, so it does not use the same roll of the first one, which is good because if you missed, your roll was quite low. So what does this do? That gives you not an extra attack. If you're landing all your shots, you're not getting an extra attack. But assuming that you don't have some insane bonuses to your attack rolls, you're bound to miss. Close to, at 7th level, I would say close to 30 to 40% of your time. You have an extra attack feature at this point as well. Now your bonus action, taking away your bonus action might be a little bit of a problem if you are on a Beastmaster class or a Drake Warden or what else uses bonus action for? Oh wait, I'm talking about ranges, sorry. Fighters. Well, for a moment I thought we were having a ranger class. So no, there's no Beastmaster, there's no Drake Warden. What else does a fighter use their bonus action for? Healing Surge, what is it called Healing Surge? I forgot. The bonus action that allows you to heal for your constitution plus, for a die plus your constitution. Other uses of their bonus action, what else do they use their bonus action for? Aside from any homebrew or magic item in general, the default ones, I can't think of anything important for a ranged character, for a ranged fighter that they would use their bonus action for. So it's not that big of a problem, this part. At start, I was thinking ranger, so I was like, okay, they can't cast Hunter's Mark, they can't cast bonus action spells like Misty Step or any of their bonus action stuff. But we're talking about fighters here, right? So there's not much bonus action material that they're sacrificing for this. And it's not likely they were going to miss every single time. So I would say it's a pretty good 7th level feature that makes use of your missed attacks and on a different target as well. I was checking if there is any kind of restriction between arcane shots and bonus actions, and there is. So once per turn when you fire an arrow from your sword as part of the attack action, meaning that you cannot use arcane shot on your curving shot. because it is a bonus action and it's not part of the attack action, at least to my understanding, the way it is phrased. Even though the bonus action happens within the attack action, to my understanding, it should be different. Then, at level 15th, you get the Ever Ready shot. Your magical archery is available whenever battle starts. If you roll initiative and have no uses of Arcane shot remaining, you regain 1 use of it. So that prompts you to spend all your Arcane shots in every fight in order to make use of this feature, and you regain back 1 of the 2. So you regain half of your shots back by level 15th. What does the Battle Master have? Anything similar? At level 15, when you roll initiative, you have no superiority dice remaining. You regain 1 superiority die. Okay, so they have like almost identical feature. I guess it backs up the direct comparison. Although theirs is worse. They regain 1 out of 4, which is 25% of the resources, while the Arcane Archer regains 50% of the resources. They do get at level 10 something, which the Arcane Archer doesn't get anything at level 10. So instead, they get 2 features at 7th, while the Battle Master gets 1 at 7th and 1 at 10. However, one of the 7th ones, as we explained earlier, it is borderline useless in most common campaigns. Now the Battle Master one, let's compare a little bit of usefulness of their 7th feature. Starting at 7th level, if you spend at least 1 minute observing or interacting with another creature outside of combat, you can learn certain information about its capabilities compared to your own. The DM tells you if the creature is equal, superior, or inferior in regard to the 2 of the following characteristics of your choice: strength, dexterity, constitution, armor, current hit points, total class levels, if any, and fighter class levels, if any. Now, this is not a mechanical bonus. This is not to be used at combat. It also specifies outside of combat. But as a DM, I find this amazing feature. It can tell you a lot of important stuff about an NPC that the group can talk to. Obviously not monsters, not wild creatures. So sometimes even with those, if you can somehow manage to spend 1 minute without killing it next to it, maybe cage it or imprison it. But you give a sense to your player without telling them directly that this guy is hard to kill or this guy is easy to kill. They can use their features to gain information out of it without just metagaming and throwing them information outside of the game. And it's really good when they use it on their own without you prompting them to. So I find this feature amazing. Not for combat, but for the campaign and the game itself in general. And the 10th one improves their superiority dice, which is amazing. From a D10, from a D8, they become a D10, and again at 18th level, they become a D12, even better. So at 7th and 10th level, the Arcane Archer is again losing compared to the Battle Master. They do get this curving shot, which is pretty good, but overall, the improvement to the superiority dice, I think, is much better than that. And it also happens twice in 2 level intervals. Okay, let's check some of the arcane shot options. They're all magical effects, and each one is associated with 1 school of magic. Okay, That's good flavor. Does it tell which? Oh, you tell. Okay. If an option requires a saving throw, your arcane shot DC equals 8 plus your proficiency plus your intelligence modifier. Now this here is a restriction. It is not a direct restriction compared to the Battle Master, but it is an important one because it tells you that intelligence is your spellcasting modifier. And all the saving throws are, all your saving throws are affected by your intelligence. While the Battle Master can choose between strength and dexterity, so they do not have to invest on intelligence at all. The Arcane Archer does have to invest on intelligence. So it is, obviously you won't be going for strength, I'd say, if you're going for Arcane Archer. But it would be good to have some strength to be able to wear some heavier armor sometimes. And I know that many players do not like to invest in intelligence at all. Although, like in other games, no one would like to have a character that is dumb. No one likes to be stupid, right? In D&D, it is opposite. Like there is a majority of players that they will gladly make their character stupid. Because intelligence in D&D is very limited at what benefits it has. Like you're not required to act on the level of intelligence that your character sheet says. You're still role-playing as yourself, so even if your character on the sheet is stupid, you can still role-play as an intelligent person. And mechanically, it affects few skills that are not very commonly used, like nature, religion, arcana, investigation. Investigation is used, but the others not so often. And none of them usually in combat. Like sometimes you'll see in combat some stealth checks, some perception checks, athletics, acrobatics, intimidation. Some of the skills do have some applications in combat, but very rarely religion and history, for example. Arcana, maybe sometimes to identify spells and effects, but that's about it. Nature, I can't remember nature ever being used in combat. So yeah, intelligence overall does not have that big of effect as other stats do. And fighters would gladly invest on some other stats if they could. So it is a restriction here. Banishing Arrow. You use abjuration magic to try to temporarily banish your target to a harmless location in the Feywild. The creature hit by the arrow must also succeed on a charisma saving throw or be banished. While banished in this way, the speed is 0. It is incapacitated at the end of its next turn. The target reappears in the space it vacated or in the nearest unoccupied space, if that space is occupied. Now, this banishing arrow does not cause any damage, as you see. Many people would think that it's not a very good option, but it is. Making an enemy lose completely a turn opens up so many tactical decisions in a fight. If that creature is a leader or a healer or anyone who directly affects allies, in that turn that they're gone, the fight can change drastically. Also, you can use that to lock down an elusive target, surround its space, or make a plan that takes a whole turn for the team to mobilize. Whole round, sorry. So that banishing arrow, and also having charisma saving throw, which is not commonly very high on NPCs, especially non-humanoids. The banishing arrow can be very tactical option, tactical benefit, even if it doesn't deal any extra damage. Also, it cannot do anything in the space that it is transported, so it cannot heal itself, it cannot do completely anything, it's incapacitated. After you reach 18th level in this class, a target also takes 2d6 force damage when the arrow hits it. Now, if you're an 18th level character and an arrow deals its normal damage, which is, let's say, a longbow 1d8 plus your dex, assuming it's 5, is 2d6 like that much of a difference? Especially when you do it once per turn? I don't know, it feels kind of low. Also, you'd have to wait 15 levels to get this 2d6. I don't see why they couldn't put an intermediate level up of those abilities. Which is, I think this is one of the features that the magic item we're going to make today will be to give a level up to those arrows earlier before the final one goes at 18. Beguiling arrow. Your enchantment magic causes the arrow to temporarily beguile the target. Creature hit by the arrow takes an extra 2d6 psychic damage. You choose one of your allies within 30 feet of the target. Target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw, or it is charmed by the chosen ally at the start of your next turn. The effect ends early if the chosen ally attacks the charmed target, deals damage to it, or forces it to make a saving throw. The psychic damage again increases to 4d6 when you hit 18th level. Okay, so here there are some key differences. Although it does look like a charm person effect at the start, most likely you will choose... actually, you have to choose one of your allies. It can't be you. It does not say you or your allies. So you cannot charm the creature yourself. You have to choose an ally that is within 30 feet. And then the ally only does not have to hit the target. Others can hit the target. The ally can hit friends of the target. It does not make any difference. Only that ally does not should not hit that target. This is more powerful, as you can understand from the charm person spell. And depending on what you charm, it can have very different results in the battle. If you charm something intelligent, like the person who has charmed it can interact with it, and it could persuade that creature to help you in the fight, or at least them. It does deal some extra damage, not something huge. For a third level, it is quite good though, but when you are at around 10th level or around these ranges, the 2d6 is not going to be like an OP amount. And again, it decreases to 4d6 at 18th. So not a useless, not overpowered. It is an okay arrow that can have pretty good effects, but also no effects. Then we have the bursting arrow. You imbue your arrow with force energy drawn from the School of Evocation. The arrow detonates after your attack, so we just have an explosive arrow. Immediately after the arrow hits the creature, the target and all creatures within 10 feet of it take 2d6 force damage each. Now I have a question for this arrow. It sounds like a normal explosive arrow based on the description. The arrow detonates after your attack. Why does it say after your attack and then it says immediately after the arrow hits the creature? Attack and hit in D&D are two different terms. Attack is when the arrow leaves your bow. Hit is when the arrow touches the target. So it contradicts itself in the description. It says the target and all other creatures within 10 feet of it take 2d6 force damage each. So what if the archer is attacking the ground next to the creature and not the creature itself? Does this work? Most likely you have to make an attack roll for the ground, or even if it is an automatic success, because it's pretty easy to hit the ground, and you don't have to aim very accurately for this either. Just any place next to the creature is fine. So most likely it would be an automatic success if it is an attack roll. The arrow would hit the ground. Then after it hits the ground, the arrow explodes, so the creature would take the effect, the damage, because it is right next to it. And other creatures as well that are within the 10 feet radius. The drawback in this is that the creature does not take the damage from the arrow itself, since the arrow hit the ground, but it is kind of a guaranteed way to hit an area 10 feet radius with 2d6 force damage. So if somehow let's say that the target has extremely high AC and you're having a hard time to hit them, but you just need to do a little bit of damage, either to break concentration or for any other reason, just aiming on the ground next to them is a guaranteed hit. Like, they don't get a saving throw, not even a dexterity saving throw. They don't get anything. This is a little bit wacky. I don't know if it is intended to be that way or if it really works that way. It does not say anywhere that you need to target the creature, right? You can make attacks against objects, you can make attacks against other things than creatures. Unless the effect specifies creature, it is assumed that you can attack other things. I'm not checking back again the description of the arcane shots. It does not mention that you need to aim at a creature. It says when you hit. And if you're aiming at the ground is quite easy to hit. So bursting arrow could be better than it is intended to with that mechanic. Again, increases it to 4d6 when you get to 18th. I think all of them would get either a 2d6 or a 4d6 increase at 18th level. And Fimbling Arrow. You weave necromantic magic into your arrow. The creature hit by the arrow takes an extra 2d6 necrotic damage. The target must also succeed on a constitution saving throw. Here we have a saving throw. Or the damage dealt by this weapon attacks is halved until the start of your next turn. Now, some extra damage without a saving throw and an effect that reduces its damage by 50% with a constitution saving throw. Constitution is a quite high stat for most NPCs, especially non-humanoids, anything that is a beast or a monstrosity. They usually have high constitution on, so there's not many chances that they would fail that, but the extra damage is guaranteed. There is no saving throw for that. Combined with some hex that would give a disadvantage, to saving throws. This could be a quite good option for boss fights, especially if the boss is not one of those huge creatures that have a very high constitution. Overall, I'd say not a very good one. Quite specific in its use. Grasping Arrow. Okay, this one is the pinnacle of the arcane shots. When this arrow strikes its target, conjuration magic creates grasping poisonous brambles which wrap around the target. The target hit by the arrow takes an extra 2d6 poison damage, its speed is reduced by 10 feet, and it takes 2d6 slashing damage the first time on its turn it moves 1 foot or more without teleporting. The target or any creature that can reach it can use its action to remove the brambles with a successful strength athletics check against your arcane shot save DC. Otherwise, the brambles last for a minute or until you use this option again. The poison damage and the slashing damage both increase to 4d6 when you reach the 18th level in this class. Okay, so this one is like broken. This is by far better than any maneuver the Battle Master gets. Why is that? You'd think that, okay, poison is quite common to have resistance or immunity, but it's the slashing damage that's actually OP here. So you hit the target, it does not get any saving throw. As long as you hit, this arrow will do its work, and you don't even have to expend the use if you don't hit, so there's nothing to lose here. So after you hit, there's no saving throw. They get the 2d6 poison damage, and every time they move on its turn, the first time they move, on its turn, they get 2d6 slashing damage. It does not mention that they need to spend their movement. So I don't know if it is intended, but the way it's worded, it allows forced movement. So if you have 5 people in your group and there is a boss that is singular, does not have minions, so they do not have the chance to any of their minions to use their action to take the brambles off. Of course, you don't want the boss to waste their action for a whole round to do that. But if you have this one boss and it doesn't have minions to help it, and each player attempts, like they do not have any other resources, right? They have spent everything else they have. And they only attempt to shove the boss 5 feet away from its spot, each of them on their turn. Then the boss will take 5 times 2d6 slashing damage because it was pushed 5 times 1 square. Because it triggers on every turn, not on once per round, not on the creature's turn only, not on when it spends its movement. So it can deal up to, including the initial damage, 12d6 of damage on a single round. There's no concentration, so there's no other way to stop it other than stop, spend your action, remove the brambles if you pass the DC. So specifically any type of boss that is not very good at athletics or has low strength, like a spellcaster, they would be pretty fucked by this. It lasts for 10 rounds, so we're opening up potential for tons of d6s of damage just with this one arrow. It does specify that if you use this option again, it stops. So at least you cannot shoot one of those arrows in every single combatant on the field. That would be even more extreme. And then every other option, it doubled, it added 2d6 or 4d6 extra damage on, it added 2d6 on top of its damage. Now this one adds 2d6 twice because it has the initial and the extra damage, and having a potential of dealing 4d6 each turn makes it 5 times 4, 20 d6 damage per round just by pushing a target around. So yeah, this grasping arrow is by far the most powerful arcane shot. Like, I don't expect any arcane archer to not have this. It is like so good, so much better than any other battle master maneuver or any other arcane shot option that I expect it to be on every arcane archer. It is so good that it kind of hurts the theme. Like, out of the two options of the arcane archers, of the arcane shots, you know that they're going to have this one. So it hurts the variety of the theme. It is a must pick. Okay, moving on to the next, piercing arrow. You can use transmutation magic to give your arrow an ethereal quality. When you use this option, you don't make an attack roll. You don't make an attack roll for the attack. Instead, the arrow fires forward in a line, which is 1 foot wide and 30 feet long before disappearing. The arrow passes harmlessly through object, ignoring cover. Each creature in that line must make a dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, a creature takes damage as if it were hit by the arrow, plus an extra d6 piercing damage. On a successful save, the target takes half as much damage. The piercing damage increases to 2d6 when you reach 18. Okay, so this is an interesting option as well. First of all, it negates the attack roll, meaning that you can use it when you're directly in melee with a combatant without having a penalty. Secondly, it bypasses cover. Not only half cover, not only 3/4 cover that other features like sharpshooter gives you, but even total cover. This arrow passes through everything and does not have any restrictions. Like, okay, maybe it cannot pass some magical barriers that negate magic because it is a magical arrow, but other than that, it should be passing everything. So as long as you know that behind some object or some wall, some barrier, there are some creatures lined up, that option is perfect. And it does deal some damage on a half save as well. Now, the damage type is piercing, nothing fancy, and it's not a lot. So you would be dealing with a longbow 1d8 plus your dex plus 1d6, but it is on multiple targets if you aimed it properly. So I would say it is interesting, very, very good mechanic. The damage is okay, maybe a little bit low. I would put it on the okay towards good options. Mostly because you can use it from a melee range without having a disadvantage in your attack. And especially if you're getting swarmed or surrounded, you might find it useful to hit their melee combatants that are in line in one direction of you. Seeking arrow. Okay. Using divination magic, you grant your arrow the ability to seek out your target, allowing the arrow to curve and twist its path of its prey. Its path in search of its prey. When you use this option, you don't make an attack roll for the attack again. Instead, choose one creature you have seen in the past minute. The arrow flies towards that creature, moving around corners if necessary, and ignoring 3/4 cover and half cover. If the target is within the weapon's range, and there is a path large enough for the arrow to travel to the target must make a dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, it takes damage as if it was hit by the arrow, plus an extra d6 force damage. You learn the target's current location. I don't know how you learn that, but okay. On a successful save, the target takes half as much damage and you don't learn its location. The force damage increases, blah, 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 the same deal. Okay, so this one does not pass through total cover. It is a, is a home-seeking arrow. Combined with a longbow, it makes pretty good option, because the longbow gives you a reliable 120, 150, and unreliable 600 feet range. That's quite outside of most battle maps and quite far distance to hit someone with. But you don't care about the disadvantage of 600 because this does not have an attack roll. It only has a dexterity saving throw, so that makes the longbow perfect for it. And in my games where I have a great bow that has an even higher range than that and even higher damage as well, it is a d10 plus your dex, that seeking arrow can be a killing shot for most average humanoids from a quite far distance, almost like a sniping without even having to see the target. Very assassin-like, very hard to prevent from happening. The target just has to rely on a good dex save, and still they would take half damage, meaning that any creature that escapes your battlefield with very low HP, let's say 1 or 2 or 3 or 5, and the players know about its low HP, I mean, the Arcane Archer can pretty much finish it no matter what. Like, unless they go and barricade themselves behind something that it doesn't have any opening for an arrow to pass, the Arcane Archer has a way of finishing them off, even with the half damage. Like, because if they're that low, even the half damage would be enough to finish them. Now, we don't mention if you have any kind of special arrows, that becomes even more ridiculous. Like, if your arrow has any extra effect, like, I don't know, some explosive arrows or some other tracking arrows, that shot becomes even more useful. A pretty good choice, not as OP as the grasping arrow as well, but in many situations where you need to hit someone who is escaping or from very far away, that is a perfect option. And last, the shadow arrow. You weave illusion magic into your arrow, causing it to occlude your foe's vision with shadows. The creature hit by the arrow takes an extra 2d6 psychic damage, and it must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be unable to see anything farther than 5 feet away until the start of your next turn. So this arrow, I don't know why it deals psychic damage. I would assume a shadowy effect would be with necrotic damage. It asks for a wisdom saving throw. If the creature fails it, or the damage happens anyway, regardless of the saving throw, the creature is effectively blinded against your attacks at least. So by firing this one first, you know that your next attack will have advantage. And you could pair it with a more powerful option, like the grasping arrow. So you fire the shadow arrow as the last arrow of your turn, and then actually, wait, no, it doesn't have to be the last arrow. It can be the first arrow. Oh no, never mind. it lasts until the start of your next turn. So at the start of your next turn, the creature will not be blinded. But all your allies can benefit from that as well. All your ranged allies, they will have advantage against the target because the target cannot see further than 5 feet away. Even some melee attackers with reach that can hit from 10 feet away, they can benefit from that. And obviously, the target loses, has disadvantage on their attacks on anything that they cannot see. A pretty disabling arrow. Of course, it damages like every other arrow that has a standard 2d6, but it does have a pretty strong debilitating effect. It does last for 1 turn, so the duration is not that high, but I'd say it has pretty good effect. And again, the damage increases to 4d6 when you reach the 18th level. So out of the arrows, Grasping Arrow, by far the most powerful. I'd say followed by Seeking Arrow and Piercing Arrow. These are pretty good. I would say Seeking is the second best option here. Piercing Arrow and Shadow Arrow, pretty good choices as well. And the Bursting Arrow in case of hitting the ground. And Fimbling, Beguiling, a little bit not so useful in most situations. And Banishing can, if your team likes to prepare and do some like strategical combos, tactical combos, sorry, and they don't do random things on their own turn, Banishing Arrow can be amazing choice as well. Otherwise, if your combat is more chaotic and no one cooperates, no one synergizes with others, then the Banishing Arrow might not be very useful. So overall, the arcane shots are the majority, they have some good effects. Now, compared with the maneuvers are a little bit more simple than the shots. Of course, there are quite a lot of them. You have more options. I'm not going to go through all of them because there are too many. They also activate once you hit, at least the majority of them, so you don't expend them needlessly. They have a little bit more versatility, like they do some utility stuff as well, while we didn't see any arcane shots doing utility things. The closest to utility was the banishing one. But here you see, for example, bait and switch allows you to move and swap positions with another creature, or which one was it that allows one of your allies, the maneuvering attack, to move without opportunity attacks. They all add damage based on the superiority die. So generally they have more variety. So you can customize your battle master more than you can with your Arcane Archer. But that's mainly because there are more, and you get 3 options instead of 2. You get more options overall by the end. You get 9 out of 23, while the Arcane Archer gets 6 out of 8. The main problem, though, the main problem when you compare those 2 subclasses is the 2 uses of the shots that the Arcane Archer gets versus the 4 superiority dice that the Battle Master gets. So let's start by trying to fix that. Oops, we got kicked out of our server for being inactive long enough. Let's get back in. So we want to increase the uses the Arcane Archer gets to compete with the maneuvers. Okay. It's not going to be a weapon, it's going to be some equipment. As for the name, okay, it's going to be quiver. I think that's fitting for the name, the specific name of the quiver. We'll find out later. Let's give it an icon. Which one looks more elven? I'll give this one. Okay, it's gonna be under trinket category, I'd say. So we wanted to boost the usages they get. We wanted to boost the upgrades that they get more progressively than with a huge jump. What else does it need to do for the Arcane Archer? I don't want to mess with numbers on the Arcane shots specifically. I think even if as they are now with grasping shot being vastly overpowered compared to others, I think they're fine. We don't want to make too many changes, and we want to make more general than more specific changes. So they get 2 per short rest and they regain 1 at level 15th on their initiative roll if they don't have any. So from 3rd level to 15th level, we have 12 levels in between. I think by 15th level, I would want them to have 3 or 4. I'm trying to debate. If we go 4, then it is exactly the same as the Battle Master. And their shots are a bit more powerful in general to maneuver. But then again, only getting 1 might not be enough. Actually, no, it will be enough because we will upgrade their damage earlier. Okay, so do we increase the usages at level 3? No. At level 3, it's going to be a little bit too strong. I would say at level 10, the damage will increase, and at level 7, the quantity will increase instead of that crappy feature with your arrows being magical. What else? I want something else, something more though as well, to replace this magic arrow. What about maybe they could get 3 instead of 2? Yeah, I think 3 is better. So at each fight at level 3, they get to choose at maximum 2 of them. Which means also that by level 18th, they will have all their options available. 3 and 5, yeah. Okay. Hmm. So we want first at level. When do we want to give them the third option? Is it from the start, from the get-go, or at level 5? They get one at 7th, then 3 levels later, then 5 levels later, and then 3 levels later. I would say from the get-go. How does it phrase it exactly? 2 arcane shot options. So then at level 7, you gain 1 more use. What else? I could no, level 7, level 10. At which levels do we give the damage upgrade? So it starts at 3, it goes at 18th by 2d6. So we put the 1d6 in the middle of that span. That is 15 levels divided by 2. So level 10, I'd say. Level 10 and then level or maybe at 10 you get +1 to all your ranged attacks, and then at level 12 you get the or maybe 8. No, 8 is the ace. Yeah, we don't mess with that. So 7th and 10. Okay, let's split it like that. Hello. How are you, Zachary? We're boosting Arcane Archer today. Is the chat, is the text visible or is it too small? It's kind of small even for me, so I can imagine that for the stream it might be a little bit small as well. Yeah, I haven't figured out any way to increase the font size of Foundry other than making it into headlines. So the issues with the subclass. The issues with the subclass is that this subclass is very, very similar to Battlemaster in terms of mechanical bonuses. So there's a direct comparison with the Battlemaster, and it falls short compared to the Battlemaster. It has a few points that is better than the Battlemaster, but I would say 80% of the features are overshadowed by the Battlemaster's equivalent ones. So even if you would like to play a fighter that is using ranged weapons, you have better options by going Battlemaster, even if some maneuvers are melee specific, because they have quite a lot of maneuvers, so you can completely ignore the melee specific ones, focus on the others, and overall get more out of it than you would get from the Arcane Archer for a ranged fighter. So even though it is called Arcane Archer and it feels like it's going to be the supreme subclass for an archer fighter, it is not. The Battlemaster is still better. That's why it is pretty much forgotten. Like anyone who is experienced and knows about the subclasses, unless they have a very, very role-play-wise reason to go for Arcane Archer, they would not go for that subclass. They would go for Battlemaster, as it is very comparable and better than the Arcane Archer. So this item attempts to bring it up to the Battlemaster level by boosting more its unique features. Also, the Battlemaster has one very good feature that can be used outside of combat. The Arcane Archer does not have pretty much anything like that. But we didn't tinker anything about that. So we're increasing the usage. I have tried playing this subclass before, but I seem to underperform compared to my party, and the DM liked its raising my class into a ranger. Yes. I mean, also it is compared directly to rangers because it does feel like a ranger, and with the ranger having more usages of their bonus action, quickly outperforms the Arcane Archer. Speaking of bonus action, maybe we could give something as a bonus action for this Arcane Archer to do. That could help it match some rangers as well. I don't want to go that far as to give them new abilities, as that seems a little bit too complicated. I want the magic item to boost or enhance their current abilities to a level that makes them competitive with the other subclasses. Because giving them new abilities can go away from what the subclass currently is about. I want the subclass theme to remain the same. Also, dispel magic with an arrow is difficult to balance because dispel magic is a spell that is not available to many classes. It's a higher level. Also, drains spell slot, while dispel magic with an arrow might be a spammable option. Also, why would an arcane archer know how to dispel magic? The arcane archer should be using magic, not dispelling magic. Something the idea that you gave me by bringing up rangers is something that they can do with their bonus action. Okay, I'm reading your comment. You said a way to detect magic, or maybe what if they can use their bonus action to detect a weak spot? Not magic, but a weak spot. And what would that do for them? It would allow them to make a check in order to gain advantage on their next shot. What kind of check? So see, since we're talking about an arcane archer, I would go with Arcana. So they're trying to find a weak spot on their target that is specifically vulnerable to magic. So by spending their bonus action, they could make an Arcana check versus what? Versus the enemies. The Inquisitive Rogue's bonus action. What does that do? It does allow them to make a perception check, but I can't remember for what. Inquisitive. The eye for detail. Starting at third level, you can use a bonus action to make a perception check to spot a hidden. No, that's not it. Insightful fighting. You can use as a bonus action, you can make a wisdom insight check against a creature you can see that is incapacitated contested by the target's deception check. If you succeed, you can use your sneak attack against the target, even if you don't have advantage on the attack roll. Okay, and it lasts for a minute. Okay, the insightful fighting is way more superior than what I'm suggesting. It lasts for a minute, while this was going to be only for the next attack. It is a insight versus deception. So this would be an Arcana versus what? Hmm. Uh, what you could do is, what if for a bonus action the Arcane Archer can use magic to help an arrow carry further, ignoring the long range penalties of their longbow or shortbow, and maybe gain a small bonus to hit. That's a pretty powerful bonus action. And what you're saying is, isn't it the same? Like, think about it. If you're shooting at long range, you get disadvantage, right? If the ability gives you advantage, it cancels out the disadvantage. So again, in both cases, you would be shooting with a normal roll at long range. So if you get advantage or you negate the long range penalties, it is in this scenario it is the same. Also, the Arcane Archer has an arcane shot that does that. They have an arcane shot that kinda ignores the long range penalties. So I don't think they need a bonus action to do that as well. Their majority of their concerns is that they need to hit the target. So I think gaining the advantage is the most obvious choice for a useful feature. Also, on the topic of long range, if you go long range with a longbow, we're talking about 600 feet, I think you won't find battle maps that are that big. Like, if the battle map is 600 feet, I would be more worried about what the rest of your party is going to do. Are they going to be running for like 4 rounds in a row in order to reach the enemies? So I would say an Arcana check versus 2 times the CR. Yes, it can't be applied if the hits, but they still want to hit. They still want to hit. They don't have any other. They don't have other features that would help them hit easier, like the samurai does. Actually, the samurai has also a bonus action that gives them advantage for a whole turn. So all their attacks are with advantage on that turn. So this feature would be like a combination in between the samurais and the Inquisitive's rogue. So it's not as strong as either of them. It is a combination of the two in a weaker form. Other than that, what else can the Arcane Archer benefit from? Like mobility, maybe? Maybe mobility. Maybe they can use an action to shift a bit. Their bonus action, sorry. Hunter's Mark doesn't give advantage. Hunter's Mark does deal extra damage. You get advantage against one enemy. One type of enemy, you mean? That can be extremely strong. Like you mark one enemy as a bonus action, and if you succeed the Arcana check, you get advantage against them. Then this is the Vengeance Paladin feature. This is exactly the channel divinity of the Vengeance Paladin. Which is a bonus action if I remember right. Isn't it? So I think it would be giving them vow of amity. Enmity, what? I can't remember. I don't know this word. Okay, how about this? We stay with the concept of getting advantage on the next attack if the check succeeds, but if it fails, instead of the advantage, you get to tumble back 10 feet without provoking an opportunity attack. What about that? So you get to tumble away from that target in the opposite direction 10 feet without provoking an opportunity attack. Which makes it either a chance to increase to the attack roll by giving advantage, or a mobility feature. Of course, it's going to be limited how many times they can use it. Okay, so using your bonus action, you can make an Arcana check compared to, this has to scale with how hard is the enemy. Like the stronger the enemies are, the harder it is to find weak spots. Went to the, okay, wait, no, we have to rephrase it better. You can make an Arcana check to spot magically weak spot on a target. If a creature has magical resistance as well, you can have their DC raised by. That's good idea. That's good idea. If your Arcana result is equal or higher to 2 times you gain advantage on your next attack against it. Okay. if your Arcana result is lower, you can tumble away in the opposite. Actually, 10 feet might be much. I will put it on 5 feet. Just enough to get out of opportunity attacks. Okay. I think that is worded well. There doesn't leave any ambiguities. If your Arcana result is equal or higher to 2 times the CR or level of the target, you gain advantage on your next attack against it. If your Arcana result is lower, you can tumble 5 feet away in the opposite direction without provoking opportunity attacks from the target. Okay. These are pretty good bonuses. We might have made the Arcane Archer a little bit too strong, but that's why it is a magic item. It's gonna have some playtest soon enough. I think I have a player that is thinking of getting Arcane Archer pretty soon, so there's gonna be live feedback from it. Of course, I will add some flavor to it and some details. As for the name, let's think of a name. We can obviously name it Arcane Quiver, but that's a little bit too generic and say. Mystic Quiver. That's a little bit too too generic too. I want something a little bit more unique. Hmm. Okay, I can't think of anything right now. I'll name it. I'll keep it as Arcane Quiver for now until I think of something better. Let's put it under clothing. It's not a trinket. Wait, clothing or trinket? What is closer? Both seem a little bit off. Let's imbue the bonus action Arcana check here. I think that is the correct modifier. Let's give it a test. 1d20 plus the total of the Arcana skill. We'll have to give this item to an actor. Testus, the volunteer, will volunteer for this. Arcane Quiver, equipment. Okay, how much does he have on Arcana? Has a +3. Let's make it more obvious. A +6. He doesn't have any other plus. Oh, he has an history. Let's remove it. Okay. Only Arcana is a +6. Okay, it is getting the correct bonuses. Can we make it be named Arcana check? I'm not sure. We could put it on damage. No. Oh, no damage. No, other formula is better. Ability modifier? No, it doesn't calculate anything here anyway. Activation condition. No. Oh, there must be a condition that you can see the target and it needs a range. We kind of forgot about those details. I would say 60 feet. So you need to see the target. And the limit, how much? It is a pretty powerful ability, so I don't want it spammable. I would say I will start with something low, like once per short rest. Equal to proficiency bonus could work as well, but on a day, of course. I want to test it first with once per short rest to see how useful it is. Like if they spam it, not if they spam, if they use it on every single fight, does it get too strong? Of course, if you have many fights, this is stronger. If you get one per short rest, and it is stronger. If you have less fights and then you get usage is equal to your proficiency bonus, you get to spam it more in a fight. I don't think I want it more times in a fight, because then this character will be moving around with a tumble option and dodging like all opportunity attacks. Some fights do not even last like 3 or 4 rounds, so it might be a little bit excessive if you have one fight per day and the archer is like all the time tumbling away. Yeah, I would start with one per short rest and see how it feels. If it is too limited, I can increase it, or I can swap it to proficiency per day. Also, I'm thinking about it now. There is a possibility to use it outside of combat. Why would you do that? Because it gives you an indirect way meta game and judge an NPC's CR level. Because let's say that you roll an Arcana check of I don't know, 10. Let's take the average. And then if it is successful, you know that his CR level is less than, is 4 or less. If you fail, you know it is, yes, if you fail, you know that it is 6 or higher. So the first case was 5 or less. The second case is 6 or higher. So there is a way to use it outside of combat and meta game a bit, but it's not like super hard meta gaming, and it can prove useful. So I would allow it. Oh, and now that I mentioned that, I came up with a name for this extra ability. It's called Arcane Insight. Even though you don't roll Insight, you roll Arcana. It is called Arcane Insight. Why does it stay underlined? I don't want you to be underlined. What the hell? What the hell is happening? I cannot erase the underlined part. Okay. Oh, actually, it doesn't even need to have this. It's on the description on the left. Okay. think the Arcane Quiver, with name pending improvement, is now complete. So to sum it up, at level 7, it gives you an extra use of your arcane shot. So instead of 2, you get 3. That's 33% increase on every recharge, pretty much. And your attacks, your ranged attacks, deal an extra point of damage, all your ranged attacks. So it does add, considering you are a fighter and you're going to be doing a lot of attacks, it does add a decent amount of damage. Then when your fighter class reaches level 10, your arcane shot damage increases by 1d6 of the relevant type. Again, as the default is, it increases by 2d6 at the end when you reach level 18. Wait, did I forget something? Oh yes, you learn one more arcane shot option from the list. That's from the get-go at level 3. So instead of 2 options, you have 3 options. And at level 7, instead of 2 uses, you have 3 uses. And the Arcane Insight that gives you a use for your bonus action that you can use once per short. Okay, once per short rest now seems a little bit. I'll put it on 2 per short rest. Okay. Oh, I forgot to mention the usages here. Okay. Now the Arcane Quiver is complete. Taking its place. Oh, we don't have even a folder. Let's make a folder. Subclass boosters. The 4 element tattoo, the Huntsman Call, and the Arcane Quivers. Okay, with that done, we'll go on a short break. Oh, it's exactly 2 hours point after the start of the stream. I didn't even time it. We'll go on a short break and we'll be back with the Berserker tinkering and boosting. Be right back. Okay, I am back. I did notice that on the break screen the chat is working, but on the main screen, the chat is not working. Every time I fix it, like 2 streams later, something is broken again with the chat. I'm kind of giving up. I don't know what's going on with OBS, or is it the stream elements problem? On some of the scenes appears normal, on some others it's just unresponsive. No idea what's going on. Maybe after the stream I'll run a second troubleshooting stream. Maybe I'll get it to work again. Okay, let's move on to the Barbarian, one of the most iconic classes and one with the most dominant subclasses. Barbarian subclasses have not been very on par with the most popular one, the Totem Warrior. Released on the player's handbook, the Totem Warrior still remains the strongest and most popular by far, simply because it is nearly unkillable. For those who do not know, the rage feature of the Barbarian, the classic signature feature, gives them resistance to physical damage. But the Totem one gets resistance to all types of damage, not only the physical one, making him accept psychic. So that comes with the bear totem. They get to pick a totem, but it is like a one-way choice. Very, very, very unlikely that someone would pick the eagle or the wolf, as the bear one is by far the best one. It reduces even falling damage, which is ridiculous. The eagle one, while you're raging, the other creatures have disadvantage on opportunity attacks against you, and you can use the dash action as a bonus action on your turn. I mean, it's okay, it can be good, but there's no comparison with the bear. And then the wolf, while you're raging, your friends have advantage on melee attack rolls against the creature, so it gives your friends pack tactics when they're near you. So, I don't know, you would have imagined to play a support Barbarian by picking the wolf. Then, of course, even if it would give you the advantage, it's pretty much wasted because you have reckless attack, which is almost the same. So that would be like reckless attack without the disadvantages. So not big of a boost, while the bear is just making you nearly unkillable. Combined with the D12 that barbarians get for a hit dice and their massive hit points, plus that they boost constitution because they get armor out of it. So the bear is the obvious choice. Now, when you pick the Berserker compared to that, what do you get? You get Frenzy. What does Frenzy do? It makes you go into a frenzied rage. So how does it work? When you rage, you have to declare whether you go into a normal rage or a frenzied rage. If you go into a frenzied rage, you get some extra benefits on your rage, meaning that you can make a single melee weapon attack as a bonus action on each of your turns after the one that you're raging, because you already spent your bonus action there. But when your rage ends, you suffer 1 level of exhaustion. To those unfamiliar with exhaustion, it is not very trivial. The first level of exhaustion gives you disadvantage on ability checks. The second level, the first one is okay, like combat-wise, it's not going to affect you much. And out of combat-wise, you rely on your group for those checks. Now, the second level of exhaustion halves your speed, so automatically it puts you at a big disadvantage when you're facing ranged opponents. And you're not as unkillable as the bear one, so spellcasters can deal quite good damage on you. Third level, disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws. So if you've reached third level, you're already negating your offensive potential that you get as a barbarian. You have to reckless attack all the time to just roll with normal attacks, with normal rolls, sorry, to negate the disadvantage. And saving throws you make are all with disadvantage, so you're gonna get ripped to shreds by spells. At fourth level, if you ever reach at fourth level, your hit point maximum is halved, so you're becoming a very easy to kill target. At fifth level, you can't move anymore, so I don't know what you were supposed to be doing there, like maybe throw javelins at from where you are standing at a disadvantage, and then get hit by everything. And at sixth level, you're dead. So it is only hello Poke9er or Poke9er. Welcome. So the exhaustion, it is only supposed to go up until second level. Tonight we're creating some more items that would boost some underwhelming, long forgotten or ignored by comparison subclasses. We made an item for the Arcane Archer in the previous part of the stream, and now we're starting on examining the Berserker Barbarian and what does it lack and how does it compare with the most powerful one, which is the Totem Warrior. So when you start using your raids more than once, you start getting your exhaustion. It is only okay, I would say it is completely okay to get the first level of exhaustion and then fight again. Once you get the second level of exhaustion, fighting starts to become really hard. So I find this counterproductive by design. Like the frenzy, the raids, in my mind, in the stereotype that I have for berserker fighters from popular media, other games, fiction, movies, anime, etc., it's the guy who will put everything into offense, disregarding defense or survivability, either short or long term. So whenever you hit the second exhaustion level by having your speed, already your offensive capabilities start to get impacted by not reaching the enemies. And a berserker that runs slow feels very unfitting for the theme, right? I get it that you get tired and it makes sense that you need to run slow, but what if exhaustion was not the side effect from the frenzied raids? Like, both barbarians raids, one is more frenzy than the other. Is the frenzy part really making him that much tired compared to the other one? I would assume that the rage itself determines the energy levels that you're using, not the frenzy part. I would imagine that the frenzy part just makes you more reckless. So I would say that the disadvantages should have been more on the side, like reckless attack. So let's move on and see what else the Berserker gets. Mindless rage. At 6th level, you can get charmed, frightened while raging. If you're charmed, it ends automatically, or suspended, sorry, not ends. Intimidating presence. At level 10, you use your action to frighten someone with your menacing presence. When you do so, choose a creature that you can see within 30 feet of you. Must succeed wisdom saving throw. Okay. Charisma modifier here might be completely low for a Barbarian. They don't have any other use of it. So this feature could be as well useless. And the target is frightened of you until the end of your next turn. On subsequent turns, you can use your action to extend the duration of this effect on a frightened creature until the end of your next turn. So for a level 10 feature, this feels super weak. Not only your charisma might completely suck, because you don't have any other use of it, so it could be one of your dumb stats, together with intelligence, as most barbarians know. But it uses your action. It uses your action like, okay, it takes your action the first round, but you can't attack. Like, if you want to extend for the subsequent turns, it's not like you took your action now, but you can attack later. It needs your action on every single turn. It doesn't take one of your attacks. So after level 5, you could sacrifice one of your attacks to do it. It takes your whole action. So you just stand there looking scary in the middle of a fight for one creature, not even for all creatures. Like, you look specifically scary for one creature. And that's all you do in the fight if you want to keep the effect on. So that definitely needs some kind of boost there. Retaliation, starting at level 14, when you take damage from a creature that is within 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction to make a melee weapon attack against that creature. Okay, that's okay. It's like, again, it's not super strong. It's almost giving you an opportunity attack, but it gives you the attack when you get hit. Let's compare the Totem Warrior. What do they get at level at level 10 and 14th? So at level 10, you can cast Commune with Nature, which is a divination 5th level spell. You briefly become one with the nature and gain knowledge of the surrounding territory. In the outdoors, the spell gives you knowledge of the land within 3 miles of you. In caves or other natural, the radius is limited to 300 feet. Okay, you instantly gain knowledge up to 3 facts of your choice: terrain and bodies of water, prevalent plants, minerals, animals, or people, powerful celestial fey materials, fiends, elementals, or undead, influence of other planes of existence, and buildings. So this is a powerful role-play feature or preventative feature as well. It doesn't have any combat influence, but it's pretty good outside of combat to get an idea of a new environment. And at level 14th, you gain a magical benefit based on the totem animal of your choice. You can choose the same animal you selected previously or a different one. So while you're raging, any creature within 5 feet that's hostile has disadvantage on attack rolls against targets other than you or another character with this feature. Okay. An enemy is immune if they... Okay. While raging, you have a flying speed equal to your current walking speed with the eagle. This benefit works only in short bursts. You fall if you end. Okay, so the 14th feature, the Totemic Attunement, has pretty powerful boosts compared to the almost opportunity attack that you get from the Berserker. The Spirit Walker, it is not a combat one, so it's not really fair to make a direct comparison. The Intimidating Presence is super weak for a combat feature, so I think some boost is in order to both of them and to the basic Frenzy part of the rage. As you can see, the Berserker path falls very short compared to the Totem Warrior. I'm not going to compare it with the other subclasses as well, because it's not the point to bring it up to the level of another subclass, but it's more to bring it to the level of the strongest one to make it a viable and competitive choice. Because if not, then people will still go with the Totem Warrior. Okay, so ideas how to boost Frenzy without changing it too much, even though it does feel like it needs a really good change. The Mastermind for Rogue, yes, I agree. Mastermind and the Inquisitive one, they don't feel very... More the Mastermind, and sometimes the Assassin. The Assassin, even though it is picked quite well because of its edgy theme, using the assassination features, it is very rare. Like, your DM has to be extremely lenient or ignorant of the rules of how the surprise works to take advantage of it. Because very rarely you would be the only one acting. Usually you have your paladin and your cleric where they're very clanky and failing their dexterity checks. So surprise round is usually messed up. Zachary, no, that is the wrong way to go. Frenzy is all about offense. It should not give you anything remotely defensive. That's the Berserker theme. We don't want to make this Barbarian tanky like the Totem one, but we want to make his offense worthwhile losing its defense or losing its comparative unkillable defense that the Totem Warrior has. So no defensive features, not at the slightest. Nothing that would hint that we try to make him as or more defensive and go closer to the Totem one. So if it was to compare like two paths, we don't want them to climb the same mountain, but we want them to climb two different mountains but reach the same height. You channel your rage into a weapon. At third level, you must choose a weapon you're holding. While you're holding it, it contains the exhaustion you gain from frenzy. You should ever leave it, destroy it, or unequip it. All the exhaustion you need is released into you. You can release this exhaustion after a long rest to weaken it by one exhaustion. That's an interesting idea. Let's think if it has, for start, any abusable points. So as long as you're holding this weapon, you never get any exhaustion. If I understand right. That might be a little bit too strong. And it has two sides. It has two sides. If you're playing in a game where item interactions and your DM is quite peculiar about it, you might be fucked. Like, you might not be able to short rest. Like, because if you really have to hold the weapon at all times, it can get super exhausting at some point that you have to leave it. You can't even bandage your wounds. You can't even take a short rest unless you leave your weapon. So if you're playing in that kind of game, you might be fucked. If you're playing on the opposite side, where your DM doesn't care what you're holding, doesn't care how you interact with weapons, you don't measure carrying capacity, like your player could carry 50 glaives and it's not an issue. So if you're playing in that type of game, it might be overpowered. I'd say you're basically attuned to it, so you could rest. Attuned to it. Now we go into different territory and messing with attunement slots. So it might be a nerf. Also, what if the Berserker wants to use different weapons? Like that thing limits him into a specific weapon. What if they like want to throw some javelins when they're at range, or they want to swap? Then you have to rest off the exhaustion without fighting first. Well, what if you go into frenzy and you lose 2 AC, but your weapon attacks deal an extra 1d6 of damage? Yeah, I like Nerdlor's idea a bit more. It feels more frenzied theme, and it's more simple as well. While interesting idea to store exhaustion into a weapon, it is a little bit too complicated to pull it off. It has a lot of variables. They have a lot of things to consider. It implies that either the weapon or the barbarian have some kind of magical powers, because normally you don't really put your tiredness into an object, right? So it implies that there is magic involved, which I'm not sure how I feel about it with the barbarian class, since it's supposed to be a magically starved class. I think you could replace the 10th level ability with a means of getting rid of like 1 level of exhaustion can be used once per long rest. Okay, so what if we combine kinda your two ideas, the putting the exhaustion into the weapon and the -2 AC that Nerdlord suggests? What if we combine those two? So something like we keep the first level of exhaustion, so we don't change completely the identity of the frenzied rage. So you get the first level of exhaustion, which is okay. Combat-wise, it doesn't affect you much. It doesn't take away your offensive prowess. But after the first level, you can choose to either get an extra level of exhaustion or take a -2 penalty to AC. In another way, like instead of being of putting energy into being careful and dodging hit, you're becoming more reckless, more careless. You put less energy into your defenses, and you dodge that extra level of exhaustion at the cost of AC. So this could stack. So you frenzy again and again and again. Your AC decreases by 2 every time you repeat that. That would make you able to fight and use your frenzy without risking like instant death with 6 level of exhaustion, and without taking your offensive capabilities. It takes away your defense, which I think is the whole theme of the Berserker. So if you combine it with reckless, you're becoming very easy to hit. Like you give others advantage and you lower your AC as well. But I think that fits completely into the frenzy and the Berserker theme. Like you disregard defense in favor of offense. Now, as for extra damage, I don't think we need extra damage on this feature, on the frenzy feature itself, because it gives you an extra attack. The extra attack itself is a lot of extra damage when we're talking about barbarians. So the extra damage is coming from there, but maybe there could be some extra damage on the 10th level or on the 14th level feature. So something, okay, so for the frenzy, we'll have this trading exhaustion with AC, but it is like an option. You can still go the exhaustion route, if you wish so. I don't see why someone would want to, but we leave it there as an option to be. Then on the 10th level, this feature needs some serious changes to become useful. Okay, maybe changing the action to bonus action, then changing the charisma modifier to what? I don't think any other stat is relevant here except charisma, but we could swap this for an intimidation check, which is called intimidating presence, right? It should take some some intimidation into consideration, right? I'm thinking, does it have a difference though? So it does if you have expertise. So if you put more investment into your intimidation and you have expertise, then it can be higher than this crappy DC. Then it will not be a saving throw, it will be a contest between insight versus intimidation, I'd say. Yes, 10 plus your intimidation skill modifier sounds reasonable as DC. Let's think about it. So if your intimidation, let's assume that you have crappy charisma in both cases. Otherwise, if you have good charisma, this is okay. So let's assume you have a crappy charisma of 8. Your intimidation without proficiency is -1. So 10 minus 1 would put the DC at 9. If we take this formula, 8 plus your proficiency plus your charisma modifier at level 10 makes it, what proficiency do you have? You have a +4 at level 10. So 8 plus 4, 12, minus 1 is better. So this crappy formula is better than 10 plus your intimidation skill modifier. However, if you're proficient in intimidation, then it changes. If you're proficient, it becomes, it'll have a +4, so it would be a +3, -1. So 10 plus 3, it will be 13, then it will be better. So it depends if you have proficiency in intimidation or not. Do they get expert? Well, some tables use homebrew roll where they use strength for intimidation checks, but also 10 plus intimidation is not too bad at DC. Yeah, the homebrew, the strength for intimidation check, I see the reasoning behind it, but I also see reasoning not behind to not do it. I mean, like, okay, someone who is muscular will look scary, sorry. But if you see like a buffoon with muscular, with a very happy, smiley face and an innocent look, that doesn't look scary, does it? Even if their strength is like 30. So your charisma should be involved. Maybe a perfect formula would involve both. I mean, not both, because you can be scary without strength. So definitely charisma needs to be in it, but strength is kind of situational. Yeah, I'm not very big fan of this homebrew rule, as it makes sense only in situational scenarios. So 10 plus intimidation. 10 plus intimidation makes it is okay. If you don't put any proficiency in intimidation, then it kind of sucks. But you should put do you get any proficiency in intimidation with a barbarian? You should, right? Yes, okay, it is available to get proficiency. So you have the option to make it good. If you don't make it good, it's on you. That's what's important, to have the option. Okay, so 10 plus intimidation DC. Bonus action instead of action. 30 feet is okay. The duration, I will leave it the same, because you can spam your bonus action after that if you want them to be frightened. I would add something more. So instead of one creature, you choose half your proficiency modifier in creatures. So by level 10, you can choose two creatures rounded. What if you have advantage to hit with a creature with fright? Kinda unnecessary, because I would assume you're going to be reckless all the time. If you're playing a berserker, I think there's not many cases that you don't use your reckless attack. Also, we don't want to make it an overpowered feature, right? So we already boosted its DC. We already boosted considerably the action economy. Instead of an action is a bonus action, so you can attack twice by that level, and keep frightened the creature. So I have two ideas. Either I increase the number of creatures by half your proficiency bonus, so you get to frighten two creatures at level 10, or the DC increases by 1 for every successful attack you land on the target. So the more you hit, the more you damage the target, the easier it is to keep them frightened on subsequent rounds. So you back up your scariness by your damage that you're doing. How does that sound? Okay. Yeah, I think I like that one more as well. It is way more appropriate thematically, and it can make some interesting situations. Like, you can make someone be really, really scared of you after you have beaten the crap out of them. Okay, so we have some pretty good ideas for the intimidating presence. And what about retaliation? Retaliation, when you take damage from a creature that is within 5 you can use your reaction to make a melee weapon attack against that creature. The weak part of the whole feature is that you get a new feature at 14th level as your subclass feature, and all that it does is make you do opportunity attacks easier, because it pretty much gives you an opportunity attack. It doesn't give you anything extra. It takes your reaction and you make an attack, same as you would do with an opportunity attack. So the difference is that they don't have to move away from you, they just need to hit you. So all the feature does is it makes things trigger opportunity attacks from you easier. Compared with the totem feature, which makes you fly, for example, if you take the eagle, which most likely you will, you have a flying speed equal to your current walking speed, which even your walking speed at that point will be quite a decent amount. It feels very inferior. What if it lets you move up to your up to half your movement to an enemy that hit you, and then you can make an opportunity attack? Let's think about that. Allowing you to move outside of your turn, half your movement. Mechanically wise, I don't think it's broken. I don't think it's OP. It is acceptable. Realistically wise, a reaction, how does a reaction allow you to move that far ahead? Because if it was like 5 or 10 feet, I would say, okay, it's just a hop. You react by making like a sudden jump towards a direction. But the whole reaction that would potentially allow you half your movement speed at that point might be 25. To react by moving 25 feet away, it's a little bit a lot. What if we boost the action economy here? What if we remove the reaction cost and instead put a limited uses on the feature? That would allow you to keep your reaction for other things like normal opportunity attacks, and trigger this a specific amount of times per day, or per short rest, or per encounter. Mm. Five per short rest. 5 per short rest sounds a little bit a lot. Maybe only when you're eight. Yeah, that could be. But then it's kind of nerf, because right now you can use it even without. Only when you're frenzied. I'm trying to think if we can make some kind of correlation between the amount of frenzy you have used with this. Wait a second. What if we put it the same amount that you have uses of raids? Where is the table that says how many raids we get? Okay, at level 14th you have 5, which coincides with your proficiency bonus, and actually keeps coinciding with your proficiency bonus. So your proficiency bonus per short rest, that might be. Is it a lot? Let me think about it. Okay, it might not be a lot. For a 14th level feature, it might not be a lot. So proficiency. But if you take a lot of short rests, if your campaign allows a lot of short rest, you would be hitting everything. The problem is, like, if a creature has multi-attack, at that level it's highly likely it will have multi-attack, and it hits you 4 times in a single turn, then you can make 4 attacks back. That sounds a little extreme. Like, you do more attacks than you would do on your turn. So maybe we need to restrict it at once per turn. Once per turn. And the total amount that you can use it is your proficiency bonus per short rest. That makes more sense, at least in my brain right now. So we don't like violate the physical laws of speed compared to reaction and turn. Would once per turn be like once in total turn cycle, once per enemy's turn? So turn means a combatant's turn. The whole is called a round. A round has many turns, and the turn is when it's combatant play. So once per turn, meaning on everyone's turn, they can use it one time. So on a round, they can use it multiple times. Okay, yeah, I think that makes more sense time wise. So you don't see someone hacking and slashing like 4 times as a reaction, but then on their action they hit less. Oh, we don't even. It doesn't even take the reaction. So it's not even time wise. It doesn't even cost as many seconds as a reaction. I imagine that the reaction is like a 2 or 3 second action in real life. If the action takes about 6, it is your main thing on your turn, the reaction I would say would be the half of it. Okay, do we have anything else that we should boost? I think we've boosted enough. With that, the Berserker becomes an offensive powerhouse, I'd say, and it can tempt people away from the Totem Warrior. Like not going for exhaustion, allowing you to keep fighting again and again at the cost of AC. Now, how do you get back the AC? Right? We didn't talk about that. You need a way to restore your AC back to normal. So maybe the same way that you relieve exhaustion is should be okay. Like when you take a long rest, you can choose whether to regain back 2 of your AC or remove a level of exhaustion. And that shouldn't be too impeding on a berserker's day. It might actually be even too strong. Like if you make a character that has a lot of HP and you have some support behind you that can negate some of the attacks towards you or have healing, I don't think the healing can cover it because we're talking about a lot of damage going in and out. But some protective spells that could negate some of the damage, then your Berserker might be really, really strong. Okay, let's start creating the item. What would the item be? So we don't want it to be a weapon. We don't want it to be armor. A belt. A belt. I can think bracers, maybe. Collar, maybe a collar, spiked collar. think I like the idea of the spiked collar more than a belt or bracers. Because we do have magic items that are bracers and belts already from the official one, so you don't want to be wearing 3 belts or 2 sets of bracers or be forced to leave this one. I can't remember if there is any popular collar magic item in D&D. The name would need some improvement, but for now, let's call it spiked collar. With equipment, yes. Let's see, we have an item for it, an icon, sorry, not an item. Oh, we do have a spiked collar. 2 of them, actually. Okay. Okay, the first one was the frenzy chains. When does the exhaustion give you penalty to okay, let's think a little bit about the -2. If you go to exhaustion level 6, you die normally, right? Instead, with our system, when you reach that level of exhaustion, you would have -10 to AC, which makes you super easy to hit target. But we need to put a limit, right? Actually, wait, do we need a limit there? A barbarian cannot rage more than 6 times without getting a long rest. But you might get exhaustion from other sources, so it does make sense. So up to a maximum of -10. So we need to put a condition for death as well. If the penalty reaches -12, no, but then you can combine exhaustion with penalty. So we just need a strict limit of of raging. But even with the official rules, in order for you to die from exhaustion from friends and raids, you need to raid 6 times on a single day without a long rest. That can only happen after level... what was it? Level 17. And at that point, you can remove exhaustion pretty easily, I'd say. Okay, so leave it, no restriction. -2 penalty AC instead. Okay. Okay, we have set the condition of getting and removing the penalties. Did we put anything else on Frenzy? No, we didn't put any damage. Oh wait, not when you go, when you finish. When a frenzied raid ends and you already have a level, you can just, okay. Now I think that the -2 might be a little bit lenient. Like combat-wise, if you are this type of Berserker, losing half your speed and getting -2 to AC. But then again, okay, let's leave it at -2. We'll have some playtests soon enough. If it's too lenient, I will increase it to -3. Okay, then the next... Yes, Axe Hammer will be testing this very shortly, actually, in 2 days. The next was the Intimidating Presence. So we changed bonus action, we changed the DC, and we changed that the DC increases based on how many times you have hit the creature. Intimidating Presence has the following changes. Was an action. It is now bonus action. The DC equals to 10 plus your intimidation total bonus. And wait a second, now something doesn't make sense. So we said that the DC increases based on the times that you've hit the creature, but because you could have hit it before you activated the effect. I was thinking, if it already has the effect and you keep hitting it, it doesn't need to re-roll the saving throw, right? Yeah, so it can increase the DC before. So the DC equals to 10 plus your intimidation total bonus plus the times you have damaged creature with an attack. Okay, let's think about it again. Maybe this can become exceptionally high. Because at level 10, you are attacking. How many times you're attacking? You're attacking 2 times with your main action and 1 with your bonus action. So you're making 3 attacks per turn. Assuming you're using your reckless attacks and you have pretty high strength, it's safe to say that you can be landing all your attacks. So after 2 turns that you have hit the creature for 6 times, the DC increases by 6 on the 3rd turn. With an intimidation, I would also assume that you've put proficiency in intimidation, so you have 10 plus 4 and the charisma of 8, which is not uncommon. So 13 plus 6, 19. They have to beat a DC of 19. Is that a little bit too high? And that assumes like the worth, the 8 charisma. If you have something like a 12, it becomes a 21. Sounds a little bit high. So maybe instead of the times you have damaged the creature, it is the turns that you have damaged the creature. So if for 2 turns you have damaged it, then it is a +2 instead of counting every single attack as a separate instance. And also makes the misses less punishing, because as long as you hit once, it still contributes to the effect. Yeah, I think it's better with turns. Plus the turns as the amount turns with an attack. So it makes it like hard to right away frighten a creature from round 1, because you haven't managed to hit it many times yet. And after if it fails, there's no repeating saving throw. Like you can keep the effect on it with your bonus action forever. And keep attacking. So it might be a little strong now. Oh wait, the effect ends if the creature ends its turn out of line of sight or more than 60 feet away from you. So they do have a chance to end it. Kind of hard though to go out of sight or 60 feet away when you have a barbarian chasing you around. Okay. We'll see how it plays out. And what else did we change? We changed the retaliation. Equal to your proficiency bonus per short rest. Okay. Let's highlight with bold the name of the features. That actually is pretty simple and organized. We were talking quite a lot about this regular, so I was kind of expecting some complicated descriptions and a lot of text, but this is actually very neat. So I think the real power leap now happens at level 10 with the Berserker. Like the change that we did on Frenzy is pretty good as well. It's not insignificant. But the huge power boost now is at level 10, that with a bonus action you can keep permanently, as long as you succeed, as long as it failed the saving throw at the start, you can effectively keep even a boss creature frightened until the end of the fight, giving it a permanent disadvantage on attack rolls while it can see you. So you can be very, very scary at level 10. But also allows you to frenzy way more often than you could with the previous rules. Because, yeah, you wouldn't die from exhaustion, but like, okay, what's the point of frenzying it again if I can't reach the enemies by the second level of exhaustion, or if my attacks have disadvantage on the third level of exhaustion? Like, I'm sacrificing offense to get offense. That didn't make that much result in the end. It was very counterproductive. And that's why the Berserker is, I think, the least played Barbarian subclass. And when you compare it with the unkillable Totem War, it's like, sure, I will sacrifice something to get something similar, so no overall benefit, while the other guy becomes unkillable without sacrificing anything. So the comparison was very unfair. Now there is reason to pick the Berserker. The Berserker, as long as the Berserker now has some kind of support to keep him a bit alive more, is a damage dealing powerhouse, attacking 3 times by level 5, 2 times by level 3, and at level 10 fearing something indefinitely while chopping it. And the retaliation, of course, dishing out more damage per combat without taking your reactions away. So you can do opportunity attacks and retaliations at the same time. So we have an indirect damage increase. Like we didn't boost up any single point of damage dealing, but we allowed him to use his features more and improve the action economy. So overall, there is a damage increase without any numerical damage increase. Okay, that ended sooner than expected. So we still have some time left. What do we do? Let's decide the subclasses for next live stream. Which underwhelming subclasses do you have to suggest? And why? I want also a reasoning. Why do you think they're underwhelming? Underwhelming also compared to their other subclasses, not to other classes. No suggestions, or chat is sleeping. I'm thinking either one of the rogues, maybe assassin, mastermind, or the inquisitive ones. I think the assassin is kind of the most underwhelming. Not the least popular, but the least powerful. It gets picked because of its edgy name, and many new players think it's good. Same like the Berserker. The Berserker is picked, I think, because of the name and because they don't know what the Berserker is actually doing, or they haven't read the Totem Warrior. So I think the Assassin is picked like for the same reasons, because its mechanical benefits are pretty impossible to make use of or kind of weak. So definitely one of the rogues, I would say, for next live stream. What else? Do we have any other obvious underwhelming subclass from other classes? The wizard is hard to judge because the schools do not have big, not all, some of them have big influence. Some others do not. They're all like kind of weak, but they're like all together kind of weak. There's not a single one that is useless. And the wizard class itself does not rely as much on the subclass as other classes. So I think the wizard is very hard to pick one. Warlocks, I think we have some clear winners, like the Hexblade in terms of popularity, but I don't think we have any clear losers. Sorcerers, again, we do have some clear winners, but not clear. I think the Draconic one and the Wild Magic, both the player handbook, they kind of fall behind. The wild one, the wild magic is hard though to compare because it relies on just being a random subclass that causes random effects. So it can be like really bad, really good, really fun, really boring. It can be anything. It's hard to compare that one. The draconic one can make you tanky, but other than that, I can't remember it being very good. Druids. Druids, again, I don't think we have any clear weak chain. Clerics. Cleric, again, the subclass does give you your channel divinity, but the main class does not disappoint. Like, even if you take out the channel divinity of a cleric, just having all these spells available makes you a pretty useful class. And all the proficiencies as well. There might be, though, like knowledge cleric, arcana cleric. It's called arcana, I can't remember. There is one arcane cleric, arcana cleric. What is it called? Arcana, okay. Arcana cleric, knowledge, nature, trickery as well. I think those subclasses, I might have had one like player playing them at most. I can't remember two players playing any of those subclasses, especially the knowledge one. Knowledge one, I think I never had a player. I can't even remember what it does. Let's see. Blessings of knowledge. At the first level, you learn 2 languages of your choice. You also become proficient in your choice of 2 of the following: arcana, history, nature, religion. Your proficiency, well, okay, it's done. So it becomes like a very, it has non-combat bonuses right off the bat. Starting at second level, you can channel divinity to tap into divine. As an action, you choose one skill or tool. For 10 minutes, you have proficiency. Okay, so your channel divinity is just giving you proficiency with something for 10 minutes. This almost feels like a cleric that tries to be a bard. Channel divinity, read thoughts. At 6th level, you use your channel divinity to read the creature's thought. You can then use your access to that creature's mind to command it. Okay, now we're getting serious. As an action, choosing one creature that you can see within 60 feet, the creature must make a wisdom saving throw. If the creature succeeds on the saving throw, you can't use the feature again. Okay. If the creature fails, you can read its surface thoughts, reflecting its current emotions and what it is actively thinking about when it is within 60 feet. Okay. During that time, you can use your action to end this effect and cast the suggestion spell on the creature without expending a spell slot. The target automatically fails. Okay, that's a pretty interesting channel divinity. I have to say, I like this channel divinity a lot. Also, you get channel divinity at 6th level, while all the other clerics, they get all their channel divinities together. That's interesting. Potent spellcasting starting at 8th level, you add your wisdom modifier to the damage you deal with any cleric cantrip. Okay. Starting at 17th level, you call up visions of the past. Okay. Okay, that's a pretty very good role play feature. I see. So this subclass like has one combat boost. That's why it's not big. This has like only one combat boost. So if we compare it side by side with one of the more popular ones, let's say I won't compare it with the Twilight. Well, okay, let's compare it with the Twilight, even though I have that subclass banned in my game. But also let's compare it with the War Cleric. So Twilight, proficiency with martial weapons and heavy armor, while the poor knowledge one gets proficiency with some skills. Eyes of the Night, 300 feet dark vision, for fuck's sake. And you can share the dark vision with others. Advantage on initiative. Twilight Sanctuary, infinite healing without concentration, without, not healing, it's temporary HP, but it counts as healing. Sometimes it's even better as healing. At everyone around you without any action economy, without concentration, super broken. And then you turn invisible. And at Divine Strike, you infuse your weapons. Okay, so as we can see, the comparison is like on a scale 1 to 100, combat efficiency, the poor knowledge is like a 5, the Twilight is the other 95. Let's go with War Domain, who should be on a more reasonable level. Martial weapons and heavy armor. Yes, that is true. That is true. Some clerics, some subclasses are more martial focused, while others are spellcasting. But even the ones with spellcasting, they like the knowledge is supposed to be more spellcasting, right? It could have gotten some proficiencies with like or not some spellcasting bonus related bonuses. But just skill checks that are not remotely useful in combat, like nature, religion, history, and arcana. Okay, let's compare it then with a more spellcasting. The spellcasting one is life, for sure. There's light as well. So let's compare it with those that are on a similar theme. So the life domain also gets proficiency with heavy armor, even if it is the most healing spellcasting subclass. So they still get heavy armor proficiency. And they get all the super good healing stuff as well. So they make the perfect healer. The light domain, you gain the light cantrip. Okay, this is pretty bad. I mean, sure, okay, it's an extra cantrip, but this might be even worse than the knowledge domain. But also at level 1, you get the warding flare. Divine light between yourself and an attacking enemy. When you're attacked by a creature within 30 feet, you can use your reaction to impose disadvantage on an attacker, causing light to flare before the attacker, before it hits or misses. An attacker that can be blinded is immune to the feature. So, see, they do get a combat-wise defensive feature that fits their spellcasting theme as well. And their channel divinity harnesses sunlight. It's like, yeah, this supreme light that dispels magical darkness and makes creatures blind. Oh wait, no, does it? No, it makes them take radiant damage. Never mind, it's a blasting spell. Yeah, so even the light domain has pretty good combat features. Okay, knowledge it is. Next week, knowledge cleric and one of the rogues. I can't decide yet. I will need to check them, spend some more time, pick one of them, the weakest one. But it's going to be definitely one of the rogues, and is your favorite. But favorite does not mean that it's not weak as well. It might be weak. So I will pick between Assassin, Inquisitive, and Mastermind. I think those are the weakest ones currently. Maybe the one from Tassus as well, the Soul Knife, I think it's called. I'll have to check the rogues again. They're kind of close again because none of them is increasing. The sneak attack is a separate feature, which is their main feature. So they're not super reliant on subclass, but they do get some of the subclasses get some pretty cool stuff, while others do not. Like Arcane Trickster gets pretty good stuff. Okay, and Knowledge Cleric. That for the next live stream. So this will conclude today's finishing Berserker and Arcane Archer. I will officially end the stream now, and then in about, I don't know, half an hour, I will start running a troubleshooting test stream. Of course, you don't need to come check that one, but if you would like, you're welcome. Have a good night, afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are. Thank you for joining, and see you on the next live stream.